A couple of days ago here in New York, we had the tragic murder of an African American family by a family member who committed suicide. And the victims of this mass murder were the father and patriarch of the family, his son, and a little baby girl. And all of these murders were committed by a stepson who had an argument with his stepfather. And when I take a critical look at this tragic murder of this family, I see another tragic case of a beta male who has participated in a horrific act of violence. And this is another sad case that is a part of the beta male man crisis here in America, because when it comes down to these beta males, as I have stated in numerous videos, these beta males are ticking time bombs. And all it takes is one thing to go wrong to set them off, and they go out here and explode. Now, this male who participated in these murders, this was a young man who was in and out of jail, and I can only speculate that since he's a stepson, he was probably part of a single mother household or a dysfunctional household, and he was having a hard time dealing with the concept of male authority, because when it comes down to a lot of these beta males, they have a really serious hard time dealing with male authority and dealing with male authority figures. And having to be challenged by male authority figures rubs them the wrong way, because when it comes down to the beta male, oftentimes he's used to submitting and deferring to female authority figures, because the beta male does not see another man as an authority figure. He sees another man as just another male, and he does not see him as someone he needs to respect, submit, and defer to in an authoritative position. And I believe that this young man, who was 27 years old, who participated in all of these murders, this was his serious issue, because he had been in and out of jail. And when it comes down to those type of guys, they really have a hard time dealing with authority, because the beta male, again, he is used to dealing with women. He will submit to women. He will defer to women. And when it comes down to black men, they will submit to black women, and then they will submit to white men. But when they are challenged by another black man, or told they have to submit to the authority of another black man, that's when they start having issues. And I believe that this man was chafing against the whole idea of dealing with a male authority figure. And then eventually he just wound up simmering and boiling for months or years on end. And then eventually he wound up exploding in this rage and participating in this horrific act of violence, where he not only murdered the old man he had an argument with, he murdered a young man who had nothing to do with it, who was playing video games in another bedroom, and he murdered a baby who had absolutely nothing to do with anything. When I take a look at the violence this male participated in, it is just like the violence a mass shooter would participate in, because when it comes down to the beta male, it's all about how he's feeling, and him when he explodes in this rage, he just wants to destroy everything around him, because that's what beta males do. When they get into this rage, they look to destroy everything, because they feel like they have no value whatsoever, and they feel like they have no place in anything. So the beta male will go out here, he'll snap, go into this rage, and then go out here and participate in this act of violence. And then after that, in many cases, they, knowing the consequences of their actions, will kill themselves, like this male did, because they don't want to deal with the consequences of their actions. This is why beta males are extremely dangerous, because a beta male is a guy, he's just simmering and boiling in rage, and you never know what will set him off. The stepfather had no idea that having an argument with this young man would lead to him going out here and participating in this act of violence. He probably didn't even know that this young man was still so filled with anger and so filled with rage. Everybody in the household probably never knew that this young man was so filled with rage. And they probably thought, oh, we'll just sit there and live with this guy or give him a place to stay, not knowing they were sitting on a powder keg of this with this guy, because this guy was at a powder keg of emotions. And that's something that many of these beta males have, because they oftentimes they pack their feelings inside of them, and because they do not know how to navigate through their emotions in order to understand that yes, you are feeling this way, but you just don't act on it. What happens is they pack their feelings in, they don't know how to deal with their emotions, and then what happens is they have the short circuit that leads to the spark, and the spark is what leads to the explosion, because the beta male, again, as I've stated in numerous videos, has been socialized to behave like a female. They're trying to navigate the world like a female. They're trying to make the world work like the way females do. And then they run into resistance when the world expects them to act like men. And when I take a look at this young man's case, from what I've learned about the information they posted on the news regarding it, that's what it looks like to me, because him being in and out of prison makes me see that this was another, probably a male from a single mother household. His mother remarried, and then he's trying to navigate the world from the female perspective, and this is why he's going in and out of jail, because everyone is expecting him to be a man the way a man is supposed to be, and then he enters an environment where he is dealing with male authority figures, and this is what's led to a very, very tragic situation, because when you have a beta male, he is not used to male authority, and then you put him in an environment with male authority figures. This is where he's going to really start to have real serious conflict, because what happens is when he's in that environment with another male who's an authority figure, this is where he starts having serious issues. And this is where he was having serious issues with the family. And a lot of the people in the family probably thought, oh, he can stay here. But again, you have males who are imposing rules and structure on this young man for the first time in his life, and expecting him to navigate a world where he's supposed to behave like a man. And he doesn't know how to do this because he's used to women coddling and spoiling him and letting him do whatever he wants, and he's no longer at the center of attention. So this again all leads to that packing down of emotions, and then all it took was that one argument to set this guy off to the point of explosion. And when I look at this beta male who participated in this mass murder where sadly a baby lost their life, it's another, again, tragic case in this man crisis we're having here in America. Now, a lot of people will sit there and they only see the white male mass shooters, but they also don't see how this man crisis is affecting black men, because black men have been dealing with this man crisis for many years. And people will look at this and they'll say, oh, it's just another, tragic murder in New York. But no, it's another part of that man crisis we're having in America, because as I've stated before in numerous videos, these beta males, we have 2 to 3 generations of these beta males, and they are ticking time bombs. And again, all it takes is one person saying or doing the wrong thing to set them off, and when they're set off, they participate in a spectrum of violence. People, they look at the extreme, which is the mass shooting, and see that as one part of the violence, but the violence, again, can be anything, again, from these guys going into a emotional and profane rant when a woman rejects them, or a man slapping a woman who they disagrees with them, or them punching a man who they feel is challenging them, or them punching out a male boss who is an authority figure, or them going out here and breaking something or doing something passive aggressive like stealing somebody's things off their table, or them going out here and beating their girlfriend or their wife, or these guys going out here and killing their wives, or these guys going out here and killing an entire family, up to the extreme of them going out here and participating in a mass shooting, and some just commit suicide. So there's a spectrum of violence from a beta male. And again, a lot of people, they're just looking at these incidents and seeing them as isolated incidents, but when you connect the dots, you start to see a clear pattern to the behavior, and you start to see a clear pattern as related to what drives the behavior. And one of the core foundations of what's been driving the behavior, again, is the way we have raised males here in America and the West, because the way we have raised and socialized males in many places like these single mother households has created this beta male who does not know how to make the world work the way a man would. He's trying to make the world work from a female perspective, not understanding again that the way the world works for women is completely different than the way it does for men. And when I look at this young man who participated in these murders, that's what he was having a problem with again, and that's why he was in and out of jail. And then he comes home and he's dealing with the challenge of black male authority from this older man, and having to deal with black male authority for probably the first or second time in his life. This is a major thing for him, and this is what sets him off, because he feels like this man who's supposed to be on the same level as he is telling him how to live, and he doesn't like that at all, because he doesn't like the idea of having to deal with male authority. He's going to destroy this family, and when he does that, again, that's him exploding in that rage. And this is what makes beta male rage extremely dangerous, because beta males, again, they just don't know how to navigate their emotions. They don't know how to problem solve. They don't know how to think critically. They don't know how to think about consequences. So when they participate in their actions, they don't think about those things. They just act on impulse. And then when they finally realize the gravity of their actions, this is when these beta males go out here and commit suicide, because they don't want to be confronted by the tragedy that they participated in, or be held responsible or accountable for the tragedy they participated in. My condolences go to that family which suffered that tragic loss, but we're going to sadly see more of these tragedies if Americans and people in the West really don't start going after this beta male man crisis and really starting to tackle it in a constructive manner, and start laying down a foundation towards building towards solutions for the next generation of men, so that they don't become beta males and continue this cycle of violence. That's all I have to say for this video. You can comment, rate, and subscribe.